Hello, Gophers. You're listening to Go Podcast. I'm St-Pierre.
And I am Morten.
As always, you can join us on the Slack community if you are on the Go Slack community. It's called Gophers. The channel is Go Podcast in one word. So we are there. As well, you can rate the show. It helps in your podcast listening tools and whatnot. If you can talk about the show as well with your colleagues or friends or whatever, this also helps. You know the drill. We should not have to say to do those things, but every time that I'm listening, I don't know, YouTube videos and whatnot, everyone is always repeating that. So I guess it does really help, and it does really make a change if one of you is going to do something this week. So yeah,
like and subscribe.
yeah, exactly. All right, so wow, what's happening in your world during the it's been like 2 weeks, because we had Andy like last week basically. So what's going on?
I've been fighting a lot with AI. I have a smaller existential crisis around those models. I don't know what's going on. I've been using them to go faster with my SaaS projects, and then it came time to prepare for the alpha version and get people on it. And I looked at the code and I was just like, this is horrendous, like nothing makes sense. So I think that's been a big part of my life since we talked last time, fixing things from the AI agents.
This is interesting that you're saying that, because I'm a little bit in the same situation. I feel like I let it cook too much without enough supervision, if I can say that. And now when I'm looking at things, even though I thought I was clear on certain aspects, I've started a huge refactor on the Go code that for some reason it should not have done that much, because I'm usually not using LLMs to write Go. But like you said, sometime to go quicker, I tend to let it do a couple of things, because I think it's going to go faster. But at some point, the amount of cleanup that is required is still real.
Yeah. I think it was the Primagen who shared a link to a site where you can actually see how these models perform on the same task over time. And there is a clear downward trend after release date. Like if you look at like per day or per week, it is actually trending down. So this is a thing I've been discussing with other people as well. This feeling of when they just come out, it feels incredible. It feels amazing. Like, okay, it actually gets it. It does it. The code looks right. And then a few days later, you get this, like, this is not right. And why do I have to keep repeating this thing over and over and over again? And now there is actually someone tracking how well these models do on the same task over time, which is going down. And I think from like an economical standpoint, it makes sense that they turn up the knobs to 11 to get people excited, right? And then slowly turn them down. Hope you don't notice.
That does not sound really good to me.
No,
I was not aware of that, to be frank. So it has been proven without a doubt that it's clearly after 2 weeks, let's say, the same task that you ask at the beginning isn't going to perform as well.
I mean, it's probably a little. No, not all of them. This is probably a little bit. There's still a little bit of tinfoil around it. I can try and share the link to the sites afterwards in the Slack channel, so people can check it out. It's also, I don't know how they do it exactly. It is just, it's a feeling I have been having, or it's something I think I have been noticing for like at least the last 6 months or something, that whenever they release a new model, it is really, really good. And then it's just trends downwards to meh. you know.
Yeah.
I think it was also like a bit of a confirmation bias here, right? Because this site confirms what I was thinking. So I don't know, but I think this is also on Twitter, this discussion has been having, like, oh, do they actually become dumber over time? And people are like, no. There's like, this is just because you get used to their performance, and that might also be a thing. But I think it's interesting to see someone actually running some sort of benchmark consistently against these models to see, do they actually perform on as good on the task, but also do they adjust for the randomness of these models? Is that
Right.
I don't know, right? So it might also just be that the in what is called non-determinism or non-deterministic nature is what is causing these swings. But even if that is what's causing these swings, it still gives cause to concern, right? Because then I was kind of I don't know where I heard it, but this term of like slot machine based development, like you kind of just you pull the lever, right, and you hope for a good piece of code.
Close your eyes and you wish.
Yeah.
That is not fun.
No, it's not. And also, like, I've been really critical about how much time it actually have saved me, because like a lot of the work in a new project is getting all of the data models set up and getting the base create functionality down, and then of course you need to get permissions and all of that on top, right? So there's a lot of busy work, I think, in the beginning before you can actually start building out value. And sometimes it feels easy to be like, hey, I need you to write CRUD queries for this table, or extend them. Or I mean, I do have a generator for this in Anduril, but then I started having the split between team-based access and admin-based access. So I was like, okay, like let the clankers do the updated SQL queries, and then I mean, it was just so surprised at how bad it was actually done. So yeah, I spent most part of last week rewriting code. So yeah,
it's so funny. Exactly. It's not fun, but at the same time, again, yes, like you said, it's also great sometimes to have a boost in you have something to show, or you have quicker value for, especially when you are starting with the project. So those things are interesting, but again, the amount of cleanup is real. That is not something that but it's kind of normal. But I'm not sure I like this flow. Then if I'm to clean up a lot, because at this moment I'm doing a major refactoring. So LLM or not, I would do that. I would do exactly what I'm doing at the moment, which is trying to isolate functionalities into its own packages. Just trying to have some kind of decent organization, or at least good hygiene on the Go side. I thought I was going to be able to use Claude to help me with this, and I made it. I created the plan, and when it started to try to implement that, its context was already full. I was like, I quickly stopped it. And the funny part is that I'm now, following ish the plan that it's created, because for some reason, it's easier for me to just have 1, 2, 3 to 13 steps that I need to refactor this, and I said, you know what, I will do that. Don't touch that. I will do it. But this is my experience so far with Go, at least with LLM and Go. Maybe because I don't want to write any kind of front-end application, React, TypeScript, whatever it is. I don't care about this code at all. And it's probably not that good, even though I'm looking at it and it seems to be good. But if I'm really honest with myself, I'm not looking at this code like I'm, looking at any kind of Go code. And that is why I typically do not really like to have LLMs generate any Go code.
Yeah.
I saw this this blue sky post recently. Someone did a benchmark with a couple of languages, trying to determine the cost, the token cost per language, and the dynamic languages were on top of the list. Ruby was the cheapest with JavaScript actually. Go was in the middle of the list. So I don't know the validity of those numbers and things like that. But I replied with, it's funny that it kind of follows the same kind of salaries, numbers for those jobs. Haskell was the last one. Was really costing a lot. Rust was also in I think the second last. So when you compare that to in the real world, usually a Rust software engineer will get more money than a Ruby on Rails developer.
Yeah.
So that was funny. I was like, this is intriguing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this whole space is strange. Also, when I listen to, I forget his name, but the guy behind Cloud Code itself talking, where he's like, "Oh, this is basically coding is basically solved right now," and I'm like, "Is it though?" And the thing is, I was actually he might actually be right, because he probably have access to different kinds of models, because I have seen some be very impressive on certain elements, and they might have access to a non-limited, insane, non-quantized version or whatever internally at Anthropic. That's entirely possible. So you can't actually say he's 100% wrong. It's just from what I have seen, it's definitely not solved. It's definitely not solved. There's still stuff to do, and you need to learn how to work with them, and a lot of the workflows I see people mention is like, but you are not gaining anything here. You're not like you have to be honest with yourself. Is it just because you don't want to physically type out the code? Yeah. That's fine, but then I do not believe that you get more efficient. Like I can tell sometimes when I've been coding for a long time, as I gotten a little bit older, I'm like, I don't want to write more code today, and then having Claude write some code for me, yes, I could get more code out, but it's still at the same pace, I think, as what I would have done myself, because I would look over everything, I would check it, I will stop it, I will adjust it. So, yeah, it's also always these people who has a vested interest in this being true, that, I don't look at code, I ship 10 PRs, or the CEO of Y Combinator saying that he ships 10,000 lines of code every day. And everyone who has done any sort of professional programming will look at that and say, that is insane. I mean, that is not a gain of anything. Because you could always generate 10,000 lines of code. That's not really, it will take you a long time to type it out, but it'll probably not be a very good code that you get out of it.
Yeah, not only that, but imagine the team that are responsible to review this at some point. And this is in my mind since the beginning. I don't know exactly how it is in organization and companies these days, but if I project myself and trying to imagine myself being responsible to review what the influx of PRs that are created with LLMs, if any. I know that Shopify recently forced their employees to use AI and whatnot. So I mean, at some point there is some higher senior level people that will need to review the this code, and this is cannot really picture myself doing that all day, especially for sloppy code. It's something to receive a number of PRs that are interesting and well written, and now your job of reviewing those is kind of acceptable. But I mean, if the quality is not there and it's just to produce content, similar to all these articles and whatnot. I don't know. It feels very very strange. Justin Jackson was saying something in his last newsletter. He was mentioning like the product managers now think that they can write code. The software engineers think that they know what users want, and the designers think that they can do product manager and software engineer. Basically, every role now thinks that they have this new skills, and I don't know. It was. I was reading that, and it felt like, wow, this might start to cause a little bit of friction inside teams that were having wall garden before and things like that. Because if anything, usually accepting that the PM is going to write code in a software engineer team might not be I don't know. It might not be accepted as easily as that.
No. I also I saw the CEO for Replit, who has been saying some wild stuff in general in the last, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 years. He was like, it's actually a benefit, a competitive advantage to not know how to code because the coders gets lost in the detail. And I think it's also who was it? Was it Anthropic or was it OpenAI who said they recreated what was it, the C compiler or something like that?
I saw that. Yeah.
By letting it run, and then they know what they're doing, right? They know this is a marketing stunt, but all of that code is in the training data of these models, and trying to make it sound like it recreated something from scratch when it clearly did not, because they had access to the test suite, right? That's like me reinventing one of the hardest technical problems ever by having the fact sheet next to me, right? What am I creating? I'm creating nothing. And I think that was also one of my realization last week is whenever I try to do something that it has done a million times before, it actually does a quite good of a job because it is in the training data. So that's also why I'm leaning a lot more towards using it for discussing things that have already existed. If I want to do something with my project, right, that's related to, I don't know, telemetry data or whatever it might be, there's probably a lot of that in this training data, so I can discuss my thoughts with it. I can get what would you do different and all of these kind of things, because these tools have seen a lot more code than I would ever see in my entire life. So as long as you stick to areas where this is something that already has been existing and you're trying to do a variation of it, I think it's very good to discuss it with those kind of stuff, or go the other way around, do some very low, not low level, what's it called? Like low scope, low effort box fixing or stuff like that. I think like this kind of those two extremes where I'm starting to use them more. But this whole I'm just gonna chuck out 10 PRs per day thing.
Yeah.
No, we still need to scale human attention. That's also like what you said about now the product manager is a coder and the coder is a product manager, right? Like there's still skill to this kind of things. There's still, you can't do everything well. And the people who can are the ones who typically become very, very successful. But it's also such a unique skill to be able to do multiple things at a really competitive level, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. But I am a product manager because my Claude folder has a skills folder, and there's a PM skills in there. Wow.
Yeah, it's a wild world. I I was meeting with some angel investors for the project last week as well. Just here, high level, what their thought was.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's too early to do anything related to funding. I'm not even sure I want to do funding, but it's always interesting to hear their perspective and what they would see be in place for a project to do some funding, right?
Nice.
And they were talking about they had someone in their network where it was just full automation of app creation with AI. And I was like, oh, cool. But also having this feeling like, I'm not sure this is going to be a great thing. It's kind of like a mirage of we're just going to have spend $20,000 a month on Cloud Code and then hope something works out, Yeah.
So yeah. Well, so, wow. So this is interesting though. So what is the state of your project? Is it near an alpha version? Is it released yet?
I mean, I'm dog feeding this staging environment right now through the project. So deploy create runs deploy create basically.
Okay.
And this one angel investor is a guy I know that also lives here in Barcelona. So I was just reaching out to him saying, hey, he knew about the project a little bit. We talked about it before. And I was like, hey, I'm getting to the stage where I would like to explore how I can continue on this full time. Also very honest that this is too early. Like if I were to try and raise money right now, it would probably be at a not so interesting valuation, meaning like no users and no revenue. That definitely to change. So yeah, definitely simply just hearing about the space. I've been working in VC startups for a lot of my career, so I kind of am a little bit familiar with the game of VC. But the angel investing thing can be, I think it can be different because you can get access to capital in a way where the expectations are not hyper growth. Simply because you get someone who either are very deep in the industry and have made exits before and wants to see other companies build in that space and they know more about it. Also, definitely some angel investors, they just want to do kind of like a VC thing. But yeah. So,
oh yeah, totally. Not only that, but usually a software as a service has different expectation than a developer tool. Because what? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you are targeting the developers, right? So it's a developer tool. So it's very hard for a developer tool to have any kind of traction before getting the funding usually.
Yeah,
it's pretty hard to bring 5,000 users, because if you if you add 5,000 users, you would not need any VCs.
No, and it's also depending on, I think, having like you can always think like what kind of life do we want to build with these kind of products, because I believe the guy behind Coolify has been out saying that he's making around $20,000 per month through the project, right? Which for a single person, that is fun. I mean, that's a really great place to be, right? But from an investment perspective, how do we double, triple that? So that's also with my project. My mental model of it is I sit somewhere between a project like that and something maybe like a full blown platform like Render or Fly is sitting somewhere in between those two models, right? So is it ever gonna be a multi-billion-dollar business? No, but I mean, it might be a very good lifestyle business and something that can just be a full-time job for me, and that's great. So that's also something I needed, or not needed, but I wanted to hear some angels investors perspective on, like how interesting is that to invest in. So
Yeah, totally.
That was the discussion, and they were very much like we. they mainly done the business side of their businesses, so they were like, we have these people we can help you reach out to and hear what they say, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Nice.
So yeah, but the first step is getting alpha out, getting other people on it to try it out, add support for more server providers. But yeah, actually, also you mentioned that you have been switching over to nginx from Caddy. I think this is a nice little segue into hearing, because I'm using Caddy for everything in this project on the server. So why did you switch over to nginx?
No, I did the reverse. I was an nginx user. Oh yeah. I never really had the courage to switch. You know, nginx is something that I'm using, I don't know, since 20 years, whatever. But yeah, I always saw Caddy the other side of the spectrum, if we can say that, because it seems to me that it was a little bit simpler. You know, just in terms of the amount of configuration that you need to just have let's say, just a simple Go server on the back end. It's fairly. It's a one-liner basically, or 2 lines if you count the external block or the domain name and whatnot. So, and I think I talked to you a little bit about the feature that really wins me for Caddy is this on-demand TLS, which I expected first and when I switched. So this is just crazy to me. So and I know that you can dynamically add sites and whatnot, or domains to Caddy's API and whatnot, but the rivers is so crazy. So when let's say I have a subdomain, I have a wildcard. A record, for example, that sends all the traffic to my server. And now when a new domain is seen by Caddy, it's just doing a quick HTTP call to my backend. And now I can say, oh yeah, this this subdomain is legit. Please go ahead. And on the same request, it requests the TLS, and it does everything, and boom, it's pretty impressive, to be honest.
It's a really cool project, and also I've been working a lot with Caddy and with Traffic. I don't know if you're familiar with Traffic, and I think Traffic is also a very cool project, but I get so confused with the project. It's so overwhelming, where I think Caddy is really well described, really well documented. They have some really cool features as well. I'm utilizing heavily right now their load balancing policy that I can also just adjust programmatically. So that gives a lot of interesting options for doing different kinds of deployment strategies. Right now I have 2 strategies implemented. One is just immediate, or the yellow approach, and the other one is blue-green, which is also working very nicely. But you can basically do anything you want, like do a canary.
Oh yeah, finish your thoughts. Yeah.
No, it's just also planning on doing rolling and canary nice releases, right?
Yeah.
Because it's literally just an API call to the admin that is running on the server. Yeah,
that's what I was going to ask. So you're basically using Caddy's load balancer to do your blue-green, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the setup is.
This is your project that you were talking with the VCs just a couple of minutes ago, right? So this is the project in a sense. So basically, if I understand correctly, it can deploy. So are you installing any kind of binary on all the instances of your server? How does it communicate from my developer machine to my servers a new update, for example?
It installs my design is to add API agent, whatever you want to call it. I'm hesitant of using the word agent now because everyone thinks it's AI. It's not. It's literally just a Go API that gets installed on the server. So the kind of the hypothesis is that yes, you can just spin up a server through Hetzner and then have Claude or whatever generate bash scripts to make it secure. But going from there to like a fully production ready system that's a lot of steps. So the main value point in this project is the dashboard and the deployment and release management features that's going to be built into it. So whenever you provision a new server, I do some server hardening, I change some of the defaults around logging, I add some software to track the state of the server, and then I also install this agent that's running on the server, and then I register a domain for that agent in my right now it's Cloudflare. I might move it. I'm not sure yet. So that all communication is done through HTTPS. Everything is encrypted. So the agent will just do. Oh, sorry, I should say API does talks to the Caddy API, for example, or talks to the node exporter API locally, and then sends everything back to the main app through HTTPS. And the way that you would create a new deploy would depend on your setup. If you don't really like Docker, right? So you do something, maybe just want to release a simple binary of a package to go into a binary and then ship that. And then depending on where you store that binary, that could be, I use GitHub releases a lot right now. So you would just connect whatever GitHub repositories you want, and then you will tell me, okay, this is the name of the binary. And then you could do manual deploys, or you can use a webhook where you can change the versioning, or you can have a specific version or default. It doesn't really matter. So basically, the automation comes from webhooks that gets sent to the main application. That then checks, are you allowed to do this? It then pulls in this case, the binary from GitHub releases, and then creates. It doesn't actually pull it. It generates a secure, what's it called, one-time download link that gets sent to all the servers you have registered for an environment. It then downloads that, it switches over the traffic, it checks everything is good, and then if it's running, and if depending on if you added a health check endpoint or not, it will switch over the traffic, delete the old binary, and then you're good to go. And that was a very convoluted way of explaining this. I hope it makes sense.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, cool. Yeah.
So main value prop is probably in dashboarding the dashboard and automation of this these whole flows.
Okay, yeah, got it. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I think I would see returning to Caddy versus traffic. So I think it would it be correct to say that it's similar to a little bit like Docker versus Kubernetes, for example? So I think traffic or HE proxy maybe are a little bit more tailored around bigger organization, while Caddy seems to fit the smaller setup.
Yeah, that might be true. I do know traffic they have enterprise level products. They also heavily on containerized environments in what they offer, and also you can do. You can probably they do develop some stuff around release strategies or deployment strategies that is built into the project. You get some monitoring, so it's probably not wrong, but I'm not. Maybe it's because they have been building around Kubernetes more or Docker more that Caddy is maybe perceived as such, because I don't necessarily see why.
I would be surprised to see Caddy in a big organization. I don't know why, but from the little that I've seen, I don't know. But maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? It's a very nice project though, and I remember having seen the author on the Go Reddit actually a long time ago, just before. At some point, I don't recall if it was acquired or something like that, but or you get some funding. But it was very nice to see them. I don't know, just going from okay, this is a side project to this is my paid my main paid job, if quote unquote job now.
Yeah,
So it was very nice to see that.
It's a really cool project, and the more you work with these kind of things, I think the one file install is just amazing. Like this is just a binary you install and then you run it. That is really nice, and fairly understandable docs. I actually think they're quite good. So nice to hear that you switch it. I think.
And then of course there was a problem. So I did that during the weekend, obviously, and I have a couple of clients. I'm doing very very limited consulting, and I still have I still host some application for clients. And of course I tested, everything was good, and the first thing I knew on the Monday morning is that I received a call from one of my clients saying, "Oh, there's something that is not working with our systems." And I was like, "Oh no, what is going on?" And believe it or not, it was an old domain name that I did not knew that their application was still using. So when I start, exactly. That's always small things, but those things are very hard, because now I was not looking at that at all. I was thinking, oh no, shoot, there's something in the Caddy configuration. There's something on the server. I was not looking at the right problem at all. And at some point I found it, because I dug into the some logs of the systems that was failing, and I saw the old domain, and I was like, oh. When I started to build that application, I was using a subdomain of my own domain, because the customers the client did not add a domain at the time, and it stayed like that in the code. I was like, oh my god, this is not good. But again, no worries, because everything it was only a they are receiving emails, basically. The application treat email for them, process email for them. So all of the emails was still in the queue. So I was kind of lucky, because I was like, oh wow, this. But other than that, it was pretty smooth. One other bug that I had was very strange for some reason. I think it was on static backend. So static backend is hosted on. I have the domain name on Cloudflare. And so Cloudflare is handling the TLS, and I have this self-serve certificate on the server. So basically, I told Caddy, you know what, don't handle the TLS for this. It will be handled for you, blah blah blah. And there were some call to the Cloudflare domain name from that domain that was never reaching the server. It was very strange. So I had to reverse to using the local domain, or at least I used an IP address and whatnot. Very, very strange. I did not investigate it more, because I had this client issues that was taking my time, and I quickly fixed that by using the local TLS. So now, but I did not understood. So basically, if I try to explain a little bit what's going on, so there were some kind of service on the server that was calling the domain name that Cloudflare is hosting. So Cloudflare was supposed to do the forwarding or whatever what they are doing, the reverse proxy and whatnot. So they were supposed to, and that request never reached the server. So I don't know where it fell, but it seems to be at Cloudflare, but maybe not. I don't know. There were nothing in the Caddy log file. I was seeing nothing on the request. So seems like this request never reached my server, and I was like, wow, this is strange.
Yeah. I mean, they also start the DNS settings that I can't remember if it was with Caddy or with Traffic. I had to fiddle a little bit with it. I might just be talking completely random here, but you can go in and change your DNS setting on Cloudflare, and I think setting them to full strict, I think is an option downwards. And that sometimes, like, of course I don't know if this is the issue you had, right? But I do recall I had to change the Cloudflare DNS settings for this to really work with Caddy as well. But if it's actually the root cause, I am unsure about, because this has been too long since I looked into it. But that might be something to explore. They have some DNS settings, right?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I will look into that. It's probably related to that, because the fix that I did was to add an entry in the Etsy/hosts, basically to say, you know what, this domain now, you can resolve that to this private IP address on my VPC on DigitalOcean. Mm-hmm. So now it's not exiting the virtual private network, and it work. But yeah, I will look into that, which means I will never look into that, because now it's working, and you know how it is. Yeah,
that's the thing. I had a not necessarily a bug, but the API I installed on a server, I wanted to have like a domain that was recognizable. So, and then I had accidentally used a dot, so it was something like server slug, team name, and then my domain or something like that. And then I had accidentally put like a dot between, I think, server slug and team name or something like that. And it didn't work. I couldn't make it resolve, and I was like, what is going on? And then I figured out it was because my domain settings now treated this as another top level domain. Is that correct? Something like that, right? And I was like, okay. And then I figured out it was because I accidentally put a dot instead of a dash. And since I had this full strict mode on, it never resolved and never reached. So I had to. Yeah, it was just a one-line fix, but it's just, sometimes you get bit by these DNS settings, and it's something very, very simple. It's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but yeah, overall, Caddy seems to be nice. I was wondering about the performance, because I know that nginx is pretty capable, but I suppose that Caddy is as good, probably. What I like about it is really the simplicity of the configuration so far, and I haven't tested anything related to WebSocket and whatnot, so I will soon have to check that. But yeah, it's pretty impressive that this thing is built in Go. Very nice.
And it's also very nice that you can just use the admin API to pull.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to if you don't if you don't add your domains and routes or whatever to the Caddy config and just use the admin API, you can simply just, you can just treat the routes configuration as a version configuration, right? Stored in a database or whatever, and then if you ever need to roll back to another configuration or your server crashes, start it up, use the latest configuration, and have those routes set up through the admin API, and you are back to.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm an old school though Linux configuration person. I really like to edit text files for some reason. I like to. I don't know. Yeah, it just feels like what I've been doing for the last 20-ish years. So yeah, I don't mind the configuration. Files and backing it up and whatnot. But yeah, it's different than the reverse proxy is just a one-liner, very nice. And I also have some Django, Python. Don't judge me. Those are for some clients and whatnot. And yeah, I was surprised to see that I could use the Linux socket easily to do the reverse proxy as well. So pretty impressed with this.
Yeah, very cool project.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it's done. I'm happy now. And no, if it was the other way around, I think that would have been a little bit weird to go from Caddy to nginx. I don't think that there is many people that are doing this.
No, it was also when I read it, I was like, okay, let's hear.
Yeah.
Let's hear why.
No, yeah, totally. So that's done. So now, at least in my app, there's a new customer that can just start to create their own app, because at the end of the day, I'm building something that allows small companies to build. It's not an app builder per se, but they opt in to add some modules that they want. So if they want a CRM, if they want proposal invoicing, podcast, I have a lot of things, courses. I'm kind of building the zoo of small companies, basically. But yeah, it started just an app for my wife, because she started an agency with my kids. But basically, this thing is starting to turn big, and yeah, a customer can create an account and just pick a domain. And I'm thinking about having also, probably with DN Simple, maybe Cloudflare, but I would like to have domain registration on behalf of customers as well. So that is something that I have never done yet.
So when you so they can buy domains through you?
Yeah,
or you,
exactly.
Yeah.
And they own it, right? I don't want my company to own the domain. So that the point is that, and this is where I think Cloudflare will let me down. I don't think it's as easy as the nsimple to do that. I know the founder of the nsimple. Actually, we were on the same founder community in another life, like in 2009, and maybe it could be interesting to have him. I don't know if he would like to come to the pod, but they are doing really great thing at this company. It's a small company. It's a calm company. It's a company that focus on having just simple experience with domain and DNS management and whatnot. So
yeah, but I mean, if you can, if your customers are okay with providing with a API key, isn't it just because I'm pretty sure you can buy domains through like the API on Cloudflare?
Yeah, the problem is that those target customers are not technical at all. I'm not even sure that they would open an account on Cloudflare and whatnot. So those are very, very, very small shops. There's an influx of people wanting to sell things now on the internet that because they are looking at a second revenue stream and whatnot. I'm not really talking about LLMs, multi-level marketing. I'm not talking about those people, but there is a lot of small entrepreneur that I would like to make that easy for them to have an email, to have a domain name, and to have a website with a lot of functionalities. If they want to start a podcast, I have built myself a mini podcast hosting in this thing. So I'm basically taking the use case of my wife and myself, and I want to build an application that will be able to sustain us in terms of functionalities. So far, I'm publishing courses. My wife is going to publish courses as well. So I do have a small podia, a small Gumroad in that thing. So it's all opt-in. So you pay as soon as you enable a module, you just pay for that, and there's a price assigned to a module. So it's very modular. It's very flexible. It's this is what I'm trying to do in the last year, and in the next year try to get some revenue. And you were talking about 20 grand a month. I'm looking at something like 6, 7, 8. If I could reach $10,000 a month, that would be crazy. So this is what I'm trying to do since 2008, basically. Just trying to build a very, very small software as a service that will be able to sustain myself. That's my goal.
That's
which is
really
very
cool.
hard to do.
It is very hard to do. That's also why that 20 grand that the guy behind Coolify did is very impressive. I think when you see these like posts on social media, where like, oh, we reached, I don't know, $50,000 MRR in like 90 days, and you're like, no, you did not.
Wow.
It is very hard to do. It is very difficult to get to.
What is this
like
app
that, right?
doing actually? Coolify, you say?
Coolify, yeah, Coolify. Coolify is also in the self-hosting space.
Really?
So yeah, so it's I believe he started during Corona times, where he open sourced it, and it's something you install on a VPS, and then you can. He has a bunch of like one-click deploy apps through Docker. So I don't know, if you want plausible, you can one-click that and deploy it to your server. You can specify Docker Compose configs and then host your applications through there. So he has made it very easy to get started with self-hosting software on your own on server, and it is kind of similar to what Dogploy does. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They kind of do what Heroku does or did, but around Docker. So there's also again something that's open source. You can run yourself. And then
it's basically a platform as a service, but you're self-hosting it. Like Dooku was doing that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay,
Same principle, and then they all have managed solution where you pay a fee per server you connect. So very impressive projects, and also I think it's very cool to see someone like a single developer reaching those levels of revenue, because it is a hard number to get to. It's nothing to. it's a lot of hard work, right? So yeah, so self-hosting. On your own server, and then a lot of features around that.
Nice.
Yeah,
that is intriguing, because you are competing with the one-click install of DigitalOcean and all, Vultr and all of those, non-Azure, non-AWS, non-Google GCP. There's another level of cloud provider that are fairly cheap and have all of this already. This is intriguing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really. This is also because I think it's a very interesting space to operate in.
There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, right? But it's also you kind of. You get to a point where like you kind of do what you love to do. As actually the VC guy, the angel investor I talked to last week, I talked to him some months ago, and he was like, just start, just do it. Don't worry. Like, this sounds like something you love to do and you have the knowledge about it. So do something, because also just because there's a lot of people is not necessarily a big problem, right? This might just validate that there are money totally, and demand in the market, right? And the goal is definitely to like you can sit on different kinds of stages of this kind of things, because honestly, with some startups they will just get the 100,000 credits from AWS and then, just spin up whatever, right? They don't want to care about this project, but I think they're going to see a lot more people starting to get interest in coding and in building with all these agentic tools, whether we like them or not, where, these kind of more medium-sized solutions compared to something like a crazy Kubernetes setup in AWS where, okay, I just need a server and I have predictable cost. I know I spent, let's say, I don't know, $50 a month on server and tooling, and then I can just worry about deploying my application, building my application, and I don't have to worry about deploying and monitoring. And because that's one of the next steps that once you get into running your own infrastructure, how do you monitor server health? How do you monitor your application health? How do you monitor logs? What do you do in case of things going down and replicating?
That is still very hard to compete against app platform of DigitalOcean or Render.com, which do all of this for like $7 per month at first. So that is mostly my. So people that are self-hosting, where are they provisioning their? So I guess they are not using DigitalOcean or these kind. It's probably an OVH VPS maybe, because they are probably using cloud infrastructure that don't have those platform as a service offering. I would guess.
Yeah, I mean, probably Linode, Hostinger, Hetzner, probably also DigitalOcean, right? It is different, I think, because you can get started very, very cheap, but you also, all the cheap plans are on shared CPUs, and those do not perform well. Like you said, you were on DigitalOcean, so I think I have the same specs for what am I paying on my Hetzner server? I think 12. I have one that's running like 5 different applications for like €15. So what's 40? I don't know, whatever that is in dollars a month. And I think the equivalent of that on DigitalOcean would be $40-50 just in pure compute. And then you can discuss, okay, does this really matter?
But do you have the firewall? Do you have the virtual private network that DigitalOcean offers built in on that thing? No, I'm not talking about a software firewall. I'm talking about so on DigitalOcean, this you have this infrastructure firewall that you can say, you know what, those instances with that tag only have port 443, for example.
I'm not sure because I haven't used that feature on DigitalOcean, but you can definitely create your own networks on. Like I mainly use Hetzner, and you can definitely create your own networks and place them in those servers in those networks. You can also manage firewall on a platform level. Is that the right word?
Okay.
You don't need to go in and do what was like UFV or something like that. UFW. You can do both if you want to. So basically, you have the same services, but it's cheaper than DigitalOcean. So I thought that DigitalOcean was offering a little bit more, icing on the cake, if you will. I mean, this doesn't really make sense why they are so cheap. This is something I'm still considering because they just increased the prices and it's still very cheap. So I don't know. Sometimes I make the joke that it's because they don't like money. I don't know because or you can see now actually that they are getting a lot more demand. So there's a bunch of server types you cannot provision right now because they don't have space. DigitalOcean is a nicer UX. Definitely, I much more prefer to be on DigitalOcean. If you take a look at the dashboard and the UX and the support, and they are, depending on how you look at this, they're probably also a little bit more business oriented. On DigitalOcean, there's not really
maybe
that. Hetzner, you do have to ask permission sometimes. you might get into like, I would like to rent more than 5 servers, and you have to ask permission to do that, which can sometimes feel a little why. But this is also because there's different regulation, right? It is a German based company, and maybe definitely there are different regulations that they have to adhere to compared to DigitalOcean, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I know. I keep saying that with one friend that is on OVH. So OVH has this data center in Quebec, and they have those prices in Canadian dollars as well, which are so cheap compared to DigitalOcean, especially DigitalOcean being a USD. So the Canadian dollar to USD is abysmal at this moment. But even with the same currency, the price of an OVH VPS is going to be, I would say, maybe not half, but close to half the price.
Yeah.
So like you said, for 15 Canadian dollar, you can have a 40 USD VPS. But the problem is, like you said, the overall experience of OVH is turned me down. Each time I'm on the checkout, and now I'm starting to look at the reviews, and now there's a lot of people that for some reason waited 2 days because their server were down and whatnot. I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like a risk.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because I heard and read stories about people just getting shut down on Hesner because of various reasons. It was not necessarily malicious behavior, but that is always scary. And I'm not gonna sit and promote a lot here, but this is also one of the bets with the project that's making it easier to have servers in different providers and deploying to all of them at the same time.
Nice.
I think that is going to be a big thing. So the target is like small, medium-sized businesses where you don't necessarily want to be on, let's say, AWS or have someone who knows AWS, because it does get tricky, right? And then instead of like those $1,000 you spend in infra cost, you can spend on having I'm building review apps like you had on Heroku, right? So you spin up an app for a PR, and you get a domain with that PR, and you can like all of those things just becomes accessible for different costs on different providers. So again, depending on what you want. But the whole experience of getting shut down or getting locked out of your servers is a concern, and that's also why making it easier to have things on multiple servers is a really good approach.
Yeah, it happens as well on DigitalOcean. It's just that the amount of bad reviews that OVH has is making me nervous. That's all.
Yeah.
But if you are deploying on multiple providers, where are you putting the load balancer then? It's a conscious decision. You say, oh, you know what? I trust this one to host my load balancer, and that's it. You don't have high availability for your load balancer.
I mean, it depends on if it's customer servers or my own servers. Because this is something that will need to be built in at one point to help people set this up, because it's not really it depends
your service allow me to use your load balancer, right?
It would not know right now.
Okay. So I own the load balancer.
Yeah, it would be an open question, but it's still something that because it also depends on, do you want to be on Cloudflare? Do you want to be on Route 53? There's a lot of, I think, unanswered questions there in terms of certificates and domains and load balancer options. I'm also exploring simply just pointing multiple servers to a domain to multiple servers and seeing how that actually works out, because it is difficult. Like I couldn't offer this project at a competitive price if I did. Like I could just do, let's say, Cloudflare load balancer, right? But there you start to pay $5 per server or per target, and it gets even more expensive when you do geographical routing.
Yeah.
So that would be a thing that people would have to figure out themselves, but that I could automate in a way, because I do have access to their accounts to do things. That's kind of the premise.
Nice. Yeah.
But,
okay. It's. You're at this stage where you need to decide what is the minimum functionality that you need to launch, right?
Yeah. And there's also I'm gonna do things. I'm mainly building this for how I want it to be, and then we test.
Yeah. Totally.
Right, and there's also the whole dog feeding principle that it runs itself, and everything that gets released through itself first.
Nice.
So that will also happen for the load balancer, and I'm not sure if I can do this, but just point a domain to multiple server IPs. I've ChatGPT'd a little bit if it should work, because through Cloudflare.
You mean in the A records having multiple IPs there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what decides which request goes where, because at the end of the day, I guess that sometimes it's one and sometimes it's the others. Or is it just always the first one? And I don't know to be frank. Why an A record would have two. Who's going to decide the distribution of the request?
Yeah, I don't know either, because I've always just used a load balancer, right? So I don't know. Maybe I can, because I was. This is one of, I think it's interesting to discuss ideas with AI, because they have a large corpus of training data, right? Where they're like, oh yeah, you can totally do that. Or sometimes they'll tell me, no, you're stupid, you can't do that. Okay.
You can totally do that until you test, and now, oh no, we cannot do that.
Yeah. So I think that's where it's very interesting to just, like, sometimes just have ideas. They might be stupid, doesn't really matter. Chuck it at whatever, and then see what it comes back. So that is also something I'm gonna explore, because if that works decently well, maybe. I do know if you sometimes I have accidentally added multiple A records to the same server. That does not work well. That definitely slows things down, because then it doesn't know which one to pick.
Interesting.
So it's a lot of fun and open, interesting questions on how to do this.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Yeah, seems like a nice project. It's fun to hear you talk about that. We will hear that more as you continue with it.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, there's more stuff to tell. That will be nice.
Yeah. Well, at least, yeah, totally. All right, Morten. So I think we can wrap.
Yeah, I think let's do that.
All right. So talk to you next week.
Talk to you. Bye bye.